Daniel here for Tabletop for One. Please join me at the table as I play through Oranienburger Kanal. And I thank you for joining me for the solo playthrough of Oranienburger Kanal. Oranienburger Kanal is an industrial building game by Uwe Rosenburg. We're going to build up different buildings and different routes to the buildings and bridge the gaps between buildings in an attempt to get the highest score. And in the solo game, you're going for 120 points or better for a victory. And so the start of the setup includes choosing the player board and choosing which side you want to start on. You can start on the standard side here, which already has a canal and two paths and a rail track placed. Or you can flip it over to the other side and place those 4 items in any spots you want to. Now on here, I've chosen the blank side with the tiles in those same spaces just because it's easier for me to see that they're there. For whatever reason, I can't see them very well when they're just printed on the board. You're going to need 1 red action disc, 3 gray discs, and a yellow disc here. And so you set up the resource wheel by matching up this arrow with the arrow printed on the board and placing that line right there. And then you'll put the wooden resource tokens in the spots printed on the board. And then for the player board, you're going to deal out cards from each stack based on the player count. Of course, for a solo game, we're looking at 6 green cards, 5 orange cards, and 7 blue cards. You'll take these from one of the decks that you've chosen for the game. There's decks A, B, C, D, E, and F if you have all the expansions. And so for this green deck here, we're going to take the 6 cards. Shuffle them up ahead of time, of course. And then 5 orange cards and 7 blue cards. I'm going to set these aside for a moment because I want to go over the action board in just a moment. So let's first talk about this resource wheel. So this resource wheel is going to track your resources. The wood, ore, and clay are basic resources, and the premium resources are the brick and iron. You'll gain these by moving them up or down the track here as you gain them and spend them. But you can also convert one of each of these resources into one of each of these premium resources. So let's say I had 2 wood, 3 ore, and 4 clay. I could convert them into another iron and another brick. But the way you do that is 2 different ways. During the game, you have a free action where you can spend 2 money to move this dial 1 space. Or at the end of the round, you can freely move it 1 space, assuming there is space to move the arrow. So if you have at least 1 of each resource, you will be able to move it freely 1 space. So you want to time that as you want to gain that free movement much of the time. And also the brick and iron are worth victory points at the end, each of them. So that's good to keep in mind. The other free action you can do during the game is you can spend money to move one of the basic resources up 1 space. And so if you want to move this wood from 0 to 1, it'll cost you $1. If you want to move it from 1 to 2, it'll cost you $2. If you want to move it from 2 to 3, it'll cost you $3, and so on. And you can do that as a free action to cover the cost of buildings and other projects. And so speaking of buildings and projects, we're going to look at how you actually accomplish those actions. So on this board here, there's a variety of actions. You have 7 main actions of the game here, as highlighted in the bottom areas here. This first one says you can build 1 building and then build a path or a road. This next one says build 1 building. This one says build 3 paths or 3 roads or a combination. This one here lets you build any 2 routes you want, and this is the only space you can go to build canals and rail tracks. This one down here gives you 4 wood. This one gives you 3 wood or 3 clay or 3 ore. Alternatively, instead, you can build 1 bridge. And this one here lets you gain 4 clay. Now, as you have decks of cards up here covering these action spaces at the top, they'll get removed and eventually the action space will show up underneath. And so it adds to the action or provides alternative actions. So in this case here, this will add the ability to build 1 bridge on top of building 1 building. This one here, instead of doing the action on the bottom, you can do this one here where you gain 1 bridge, 1 path, and 1 road. And this one here lets you build 1 building instead of building 2 routes. And so at this point, I'll put the decks up here. And so after placing all your decks here, you're going to draw 4 of the green cards, and those are going to be your starting market. And so what you're going to do is you're going to lay them out here in front, but you're going to do them numerically from highest to lowest, left to right. So you see at the bottom here, there's an A17, A07, A06. So you're going to line these up numerically, and so we'll set these here. And so let's start talking about costs. So there are various actions on here, but they all cost materials and money or other things. And so let's look at some of these buildings here. These buildings here have costs associated to them. So at the top here, this one costs 1 wood, 2 clay, and $1. And then you'll place this building, when you pay the cost, you'll place it on your board in any one of the empty spaces. Now what these buildings do is they offer a variety of different actions. This one here it says if it has 0, 1, or 2 bridges attached to it, you'll gain $1, $2, or $3. Also, if it has 2 roads or more attached to it, you'll gain 2 wood. All the cards are unique and different, so I'm not going to go over every single card in deck A, or even all the ones that show up here, just the ones that I end up using, because there's so many different options and so many different abilities. But what you do get with the game is you get a glossary for each of the decks, and so you can always reference in here. They're referenced by number, so you just go off the number of the card, and it'll tell you exactly what the card does in each situation. And before I talk about activating building cards, I want to talk about building paths and bridges. Each of those things has a cost. Those costs are outlined on the player aid here. So to build a path, you got to spend 1 clay. And paths can be overbuilt by other routes. If you want to build a road, it costs 1 brick. If you want to build a rail track, it costs 1 iron and 1 wood, but it also must be adjacent to its existing rail track. So it's got to be connected to it in some way, so it's just one long track. And canals work the same way. They must be adjacent to existing canals, but they cost 3 money. And then you also gain 2 clay from placing the canal. Building a bridge costs 1 wood, and it only crosses an existing route to connect 2 existing structures, not on the edge of the industry board. Now, as you build out different structures on the board, you're going to want to be able to activate them. They don't activate automatically when you build them. They activate under 2 circumstances, so you have 2 opportunities to activate them. The first opportunity is to put roots around the entire card. Once you've placed the 4th root around a card, it is now ready to be activated, and you activate it immediately, even if you're in the middle of building multiple roots. So in this case here, this one would activate, and you would gain the bonus, assuming you met the conditions of it. And this card in particular, just to show you another card here, says that if you have 1 bridge attached to it, you'll gain 3 wood and 3 coins. Now in this situation here, there is no bridge attached to it at this moment, so this would activate, but you gain no bonus. Now had I had a bridge attached to it, then I would gain that bonus. Again, the bridges go over existing routes. And the other way of activating a card is to attach a second bridge to it. And so now this one's attached here, and so this would activate again. Again, you get to activate cards twice in a game, assuming you meet the conditions of 4 routes and 2 bridges. Now, in the rare case of this situation here, let's say I was building a path right now and I placed it between these 2 cards, it would immediately complete 4 routes around both cards. You would activate both cards and gain both bonuses. You can activate them in any order. Now in this case here, if I was to place a bridge right here connecting these 2 buildings, they already had 1 bridge ahead of time, and thus both of them obtain their second bridge at the same time. Here's what happens. Both cards get activated, but only one of them gives you a benefit. Short story is, if you complete routes around 2 cards at the same time, you get both activations and both benefits. If you complete 2 bridges connecting 2 cards at the same time, you activate both but only get 1 benefit. Alright, and the last thing you do for setup is you're going to place money on each of the top actions here. And then you're going to place the red blocking disc. This disc blocks actions for you to do. Place it in this first spot and remove the money there. This action disc at the end of the round is going to be moving each space Once it moves from here, it'll move down to here, and then so on. There'll be 7 rounds total. And anytime this moves onto a space that has coins on it, those coins get removed. And so before we get started, let's talk about how you score in this game, because you're going for 120 points or better. It comes with a handy dandy score guide, and the way you score in this game is you score by building points. On each of these cards here, you're going to have a point value, and you'll gain those points at the end of the game. You'll write that total here. You gain points for every dollar you have at the end of the game. You gain points for each of the point tokens that you earn throughout the game. You'll see them show up every now and then. You gain points for every brick and iron. You gain points for the lowest basic resource that you have. So in this case here, where I have 0 wood, 1 ore, and 2 clay, I would gain 0 points because the wood is the lowest resource. But if it was up here, I would end up gaining 1 point. And then you gain points for every road, rail track, and canal that you have. And then you lose points for any path spaces that you did not fill in. Alright, so on our first turn, as we play, we're going to be playing with these action discs here. They represent the 4 actions we take each round. When we place an action disc down, we'll place it in the spot, do the action, and then we'll take the stack but leave one there and go to the next spot. And if you go to a spot that has a coin, you immediately take the coin into possession and you can use it right away. And so let's go ahead and start the game. And so in the first 2 rounds, you're only going to be able to build 1 building. You got to keep that in mind because this building spot is blocked right now. So you only have this one here. This will move the next round. And so this building spot will be blocked, but you'll have this one here. And then after that, you'll get 2 for a while. And then the final round, you'll actually get the option of building 3 buildings if you can do it. And so the first action in the game, I'm going to go here and gain 4 wood. So I just move this up, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm looking at these buildings here. I think I want to get this one here. This one here says that when you activate it, if it's next to 1 canal, you'll gain 2 iron or 2 bricks. So that's pretty good. And also the cost is 2 wood or 2 clay. So I think I definitely want that. But it's got to be next to a canal if I want that bonus. So it's got to be here or somewhere else where I build a canal. And so I think I'll go ahead and go to the building spot here. I'll gain this coin. I'll build this card, placing it right here. It'll cost me 2 wood. And then I'm going to move down here to the clay and gain 4 clay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for my final action, I'm going to move right here, gaining this dollar, and I'm going to build 3 paths or roads, depending on what I want to build. Again, remembering that paths can be overbuilt later. So you can build paths ahead of time, and then later on you can build over them with roads or rail tracks or canals. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and build 3 paths. That'll be 1, 2, 3 is the cost. And I'm going to build them all around this card here. So 1, 2, and 3. And now, since I've built 4 routes around this card, it activates. And again, it says if I have 1 canal next to it, which I do, I will gain 2 iron or 2 bricks. And I think I'll go ahead and choose iron, bringing that up to 2. Alright, so let's now talk about end of round actions. Since I'm out of actions, what happens here is you're going to discard a number of cards from the market. You're always discarding so that 2 cards leave the market depending on how much was bought. In other words, if 0 cards were bought, then 2 cards will be discarded. If 1 card was bought, in the case that is here, because I bought 1 card, then 1 card, the furthest right card, will be discarded. And if 2 cards were bought, then none get discarded. And so we'll go ahead and discard this card. And then we're going to draw 2 cards from the deck. Flip these over and add these here, but once you deplete 1 deck, you take 1 card from the next deck and add it to the market row. And now there's always going to be a maximum of 5 cards in the market row. Later on, when that happens, when the orange deck depletes and you add a blue one, you'll end up having 6 cards in the market row. And then of course you arrange these by descending order. And the next part of the end of round is you can move your dial 1 space to gain 1 brick and 1 iron, assuming you have 1 of each resource, which I do, so we'll move this up. And then you're going to add money to the board again on all the top spaces and any of the bottom spaces that you didn't use. So in this case, this one here. And then you'll remove your action markers from the board and get those ready for the next round. you'll move this blocking marker over and remove any money there. And now we're ready to start the second round. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to go to this space here. That'll gain me $2 from the placement. And then I can build any 2 routes that I want. Again, this is the spot where you can build canals and rail tracks, so keep that in mind. And with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and spend $3 to build a canal. Again, the canal has to be adjacent to another canal, so we're going to go ahead and place it right here. And then I also want to build a rail track, so we're going to spend 1 wood and 1 iron to build a rail track. This also has to be adjacent to another rail track, and I'm going to place this one here. And the reason for that rail track placement is I want to get this card right here. This card, it costs 1 wood and 1 clay. It has to have 2 rail tracks next to it. And then during its first activation, you can spend 3 ore to gain 4 points. And during its second activation, you can spend 5 ore to gain 12 points. So I really like that option. So I'm going to try and buy this card later. And one thing that I forgot is that you gain 2 clay when you build a canal. So my clay is actually up to 4. And so then my next action here, I'm going to go ahead and go here and gain 4 wood. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to go to this space here because I want to build some paths and roads, gaining this coin. And I'm going to build 2 roads. So it's 1, 2 bricks and 1 path. So it's 1 clay. And I'll go ahead and place my road up here and here. And then my path right here. And then my last action of the round, I'll go here to buy a card. I want to get this card here. Again, if you activate it and has 0, 1, 2, or 2 bridges, you can get 1, 2, or 3 coins. If you have 2 roads next to it, you double your wood. I think earlier I said that you gain 2 wood, but it's actually doubling your wood. And so that one costs 1 coin, 2 clay, and 1 wood. And I'm going to go ahead and add this here because I have 2 roads up here, and that'll help that activation. And then before the round ends, I'm going to spend 1 coin to move this ore up 1 space. Again, that'll allow the dial to move at the end of the round. And so now we're at the end of the round. I bought 1 card, so we had to discard 1 card from the right side. Then we're going to add 2 of the orange cards to the market and then arrange everything by order. Then I can move my dial. And then once again, you add 1 coin to the top actions and then 1 coin to each of the bottom actions that you didn't use. We'll take my action markers here. And move the blocking disc up 1 space, removing this coin, and we're ready to start the next round. And so the first thing I want to do is go here and gain 4 clay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to go to this spot here. Now remembering that this has activated an extra ability or action for the space. I can now build 1 bridge along with building 1 building. So we'll place that there, take this coin. I'm going to build the building first. I want to build this one here. It costs 2 clay. And place it right there. And so 1, 2. And then I'll build a bridge which costs 1 wood. And I'm going to place this bridge right here. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to move here. I'm going to build a building and then a path or a road. I do believe last round I did not build that path or road. That, of course, was my mistake. But you also have the option of not doing something that's available. And we'll just assume that that's what I did. That's a good rules illustration right there. All right, so I'll gain this coin. We're going to build this building next. This one here takes 1 wood and 1 iron. I'll place it right here. 1 wood, 1 iron. And before I build a path or road here, I'm going to spend 1 coin to move my wood up 1 space. And then I'm going to build a path here, spending 1 clay and placing it here. And now it activates both of these buildings and I get both benefits because this is an activation off of roots. And this one here says that if I have 3 paths, I will gain 5 ore. Or alternatively, if I have 3 different paths next to it, I can spend 4 ore to gain 8 coins. And so I'm going to go ahead and activate it for the top action, gaining 5 ore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this other one here says if I have 1 bridge next to it, I gain 2 coins. So I do have 1 bridge. So there's my 2 coins. And then if I have 2 roads next to it, I double my wood. Well, I only have 1 wood, so it moves up to 2. Now, one thing I want to note about this card here, you saw the options here. The way you achieve this is the first activation, you do it for the ore, and then you overbuild one of these spots here to then later on do the activation, spending 4 ore to gain 8 coins. That is one option. So that's how that card works. It utilizes the overbuild function. All right, and so my last action of the round, I'm going to go here, gain this coin. I'm going to build 2 roots. We'll go ahead and spend 3 coins to build a canal. And I'm going to connect that canal right here. I will gain 2 clay from that. And then I'll spend 1 wood and 1 iron to build another rail track. And we'll place it right here. All right, now since I built 2 buildings this round, I don't discard any cards. So we're just going to add the final 2 orange cards here to this market row. And then since we depleted the orange deck, we add 1 blue card. And so now we're going to have 6 cards in the market. I'm going to arrange these in order, reset the board, as well as moving my dial up 1 space. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go to this space here. It's got a lot of money piling up. I think I'll go ahead and grab it now. That'll give me 3 coins. And then with the action there, I'm going to gain 3 clay. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and build a card, I think. And I'll go here, taking the coin. And I'm going to build this card here. So this card here is worth a lot of points, 15 points. When it activates, you gain 2 wood and 2 ore. And for every canal that it's next to, you'll gain 1 coin. So it costs a lot of resources, 3 clay, 2 brick, 1 iron, and 6 coins. So I'll go ahead and spend those resources. 1, 2, 3 clay, 2 brick, 1 iron. And then pretty much all my coins here, except 1. And so I'll place it right here. It's already next to 2 water, so if I add 1 or 2 more to that, that'll be great. And then I get to build a path or a road. I think I'll just go ahead and build a path. That's all I have resources for anyways. And I think I'll place it up here. And then for my next action, I'm going to go ahead and get some more wood here. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 wood. And then my last action, I'll go here, gaining 1 coin. I'll build 1 bridge, so we'll spend 1 wood. And I'm going to place that bridge right here. So now that I have 2 bridges, I'm going to gain 3 coins. And I'm going to double my wood, which is going to put me up to 6. So now this card's been activated twice, and it won't be activated again the rest of the game. And then I'll finish out this action by building a card. And I'll go ahead and build this card here. This card is worth 3 points. And then the minimum unique root that you have on the board will gain you bricks as well as extra points. So if you look at your routes here, and you look at the one with the minimum amount. So I have 3 rail tracks, 3 canals, 2 roads, lots of paths. So 2 roads is my minimum there. And so this, in this case here, if I activated this right now, I would gain 1 point and 2 bricks. This is going to cost me 1 iron. And then I'm going to go ahead and place it right here, I believe. All right, so we're at the end of the round. So once again, I built 2 buildings. So none of these are going to get discarded. They're just going to effectively get moved down, adding 2 blue cards to the market row. And I'm going to reorganize everything and reset the board. All right, so the first action I want to do is I want to go here and build 2 canals. So I gain a coin here, but the 2 canals are going to cost me a total of $6. And then I'll add them to the board. We'll do 1 here and 1 here. That's going to give me 4 clay total from building the canals. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to activate this one here. So it's going to gain me 2 wood and 2 ore. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then I'll gain coins for the number of canals next to this card, which is 4. And the next action I want to do is go here, gaining $1. And then I'm going to build a building first. I think I'll build this one here. This one costs 1 wood and 1 clay. And place it right there. And then I'll spend 1 more wood to build a bridge. Again, this one allows you to build a bridge as part of that action. And I'll place it right here. That is now going to activate this card because now it has 2 bridges. So it'll gain 3 wood, which puts me at a max of 8 wood now. And then 3 coins. And so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to use one of my free actions to spend 2 coins to move my dial up 1 space. Again, you can only do that if you have enough resources on this side, which I have plenty. And so now I'll go here. I want to build another building. But before I do that, you know what? I need to move that dial 1 more time. So I'm going to spend $2 more to move this dial. And so now I'm going to build this building here, which costs 1 wood, 2 bricks, and $4. I'm going to place it right here. And then I get to place 1 path or road. Well, this card in particular wants a road, so I'm going to go ahead and spend my last brick here and gain a road. And we'll place it right here. And so now this card's going to activate. And what this card gives you, if it has 1 rail track and 1 road next to it, which I do, I will gain 1 iron, 2 clay, and 2 points. So there's my iron, 2 clay, and then I get a 2-point token here. And so my last action, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to build a bridge. This is an alternate option at the bottom here. You can build a bridge. So I'm going to spend 1 wood, building a bridge here, which will gain me this bonus here, gaining 5 more ore. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know it's off the screen there, but I'm max ore now. And so that was the end of round 5. Once again, I built 2 buildings, so I don't discard anything. So we're going to add 2 more cards from the blue deck, and then I'll go ahead and rearrange these and reset the board. All right, so my first action, I'm going to go here for the clay, especially since if I don't go here by the end of this round, the blocking marker will go here and get rid of these coins. I want these coins. And then I might as well go here and gain all these coins, and we need to build some paths anyways. And so I'm going to spend 3 of that clay that I just got to gain 3 paths here. We're going to go 1 here, 1 here. And now that's going to interrupt my action here because I'm going to gain bonuses here. And so this one again looks at the smallest number of a particular road that we have. So I have 3 rail tracks, 3 roads, 5 canals, and plenty of paths. So 3 is the number. So then I will gain 2 bricks and 2 points. And then the last one here is going to go right here. And now I get to activate this one finally. And I can spend 3 ore, 1, 2, 3, to gain 4 points. And then for my next action here, I'm going to go here to build a building and a bridge. So we'll gain 1 coin there. And I will spend 1 wood for the bridge. And I'll connect it right here, which will trigger this one again, gaining me 2 more bricks and 2 more points. And the card I want to get is this one here. It only costs 2 clay or 1 brick. I'll place it right here, and we'll just spend the 2 clay. And then I'll go here for my last action, gaining a coin. I'm going to build this card here and placing it right here, and that costs me 1 iron. Now this card here needs to be next to 1 rail track, and then you get coins based off how many rail tracks are on your industry board, so to a maximum of 5 coins. I don't think I'll be activating that card, I just got it for endgame points. I do get to build 1 path or road, and I'll go ahead and do that. I'll spend 1 clay for 1 path. Placing that path right here, and then this card gets activated, so I'll gain 3 wood and 3 coins. Alright, so it's the end of the round. We add the final 2 cards here since I built 2 buildings. I'm going to arrange these, and then we'll be ready for the final round. I just want to note something. Last round, I got it wrong here. When you're placing the top 4 coins here, and then the bottom ones, last round I didn't place one where the red one was, the blocking marker, but you do. You just don't place them where your markers are. So technically there should be 2 coins here since I didn't go here last round. Alright, we're at the start of the 7th round. I did use 1 coin to buy 1 clay so that the dial moves forward last round. And so we're ready to move on. I have lots of bricks, lots of iron, which is great for endgame points, but I do want to consider building some good buildings here. Maybe this one here, although it does cost 7 coins, so I'm not sure, but I kind of want to fill out my board at this point. But I also need to build a lot of paths as well. So I'm going to go here first, gain these 2 coins, and I need to build a canal and probably a rail track or a road. So it cost me 3 coins for the canal, and I'll place that right here. And then I'll gain 2 clay from that. And then I'll spend 1 wood and 1 iron to gain a rail track and place it right here. And then next I'm going to go to this spot here, gaining a coin. I'm going to build this card here, and I'm going to place it right here. This will cost me a lot of resources, so 7 coins, 2 clay, 3 bricks, and 1 wood. And then I'll build a road, which costs me another brick, and I'll place it right here. That'll go ahead and activate this card. It wants to be next to at least 1 canal and 1 road. I will gain 1 wood, 2 coins, and 3 victory points. And then I'll go here to build some roads and paths, gaining this coin. I'll spend this coin right now to gain 1 clay. And so this is going to bring up an interesting situation that needs to come into play. I've read this online on how it works. See, what's going to happen here is I want to build multiple paths, and I only have 1 clay right now. I could buy more clay right now, but each of these builds is 1 separate build. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the 1 clay to build one path here. And then I'll spend $1 to gain a clay. And then I'll spend that clay to build another path up here. And now I'm going to spend 1 brick to build a road here. So since those were separate actions, you can use that anytime action of buying the clay. You don't have to buy all of them ahead of time. You just buy them one at a time for each of the 3 different builds of paths that you do. And so now this card activates here. It needs to be next to at least 1 rail track. And for the total number of rail tracks you have on the board, you gain that many coins to a maximum of 5. I have 4 rail tracks, so I'll gain 4 coins. And so the last thing I'll do is I'll go here to build a building. I want to build this building here. It's going to cost me 1 clay, so I'm going to spend $1 to move the clay up 1 space. And then I'll spend 2 wood, 1 clay, 1 brick, and I'll place this card right here. Now it wants to be next to 1, 2, or 3 roads. It's next to 1, so I will gain 1 iron. And then for as many bridges as I have, I will gain points. But it's based on how many roads it's next to. So I can gain a maximum of 5 points for 5 bridges, which I have 5 bridges. So I gain the 5 points there and 1 iron. And now we're at the end of the game. I can go ahead and spend 1 more coin if I'd like to buy this clay, because you can rotate this one last time for free. And so it'll get rotated 1 more time. And now we're going to go on to final scoring. And so for final scoring, you're just going to go down this list. I'm going to go ahead and do the materials first to get this material wheel out of the way here. But I have 6 iron and 1 brick, so that's going to be 7 points right here. My minimums on this one here are 0, so I get no points here. Alright, so the first thing we do is we add up points for all the buildings, their point values. And it looks like I have 72 points on my cards there. For my leftover cash, I have 8. For my point tokens here, I have 18. And now I count all of the routes that are not paths. And so that's 15. And then I lose points for any route areas that I didn't fill in, and it's these 2 here. So -2. And that puts me at a total of 118 points. Oh man, so close to a victory. Because remember, 120 is where you want to be a minimum for a victory. And so there you have it. That was a solo playthrough of Oranienburger Kanal by Uwe Rosenburg. Ask me any questions in the comments below, and please point out any rules errors I may have made. Please also like and subscribe to this channel if you like the content you see here, and I thank you very much for watching Tabletop for One. Have a great night.